Good evening. I'm very grateful to be here tonight. My name is Lindsey Johnson, and I'm a first-year nursing student and the very grateful recipient of the Mr. and Mrs. R.E. Gilmore Scholarship. I attended ICC for the first time right out of high school in 2003, where I earned an Associate's in Arts and Science degree. I wanted to continue my education at that time, however, I was still very uncertain about what I ultimately wanted to do. So I decided to take some time off at work. My short break turned into a 6-year break, and a lot of things have happened in those 6 years. One of the most significant experiences I had the first time at ICC was meeting my husband. Brian and I took a government class together with Professor Jim Thomas, and we dated for a couple of years, and then went our separate ways. But I thought of him often, and we kept in touch occasionally. Around Christmas time in 2005, my great-grandma was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, and she lived until the following February. My family made the decision to take care of Gram at home, and we never would have been able to do it without the help of hospice. Those nurses were our angels. They helped us to let my Gram pass peacefully at home, surrounded by family and in comfort. That was the first time that I had the thought that I could be a nurse. I was looking into area nursing programs, and financially at that point I just couldn't swing it. Not only would I have to dedicate a lot of time to my studies, but I also knew I would have to work in order to be able to afford it. Fast forward to 2009, Brian and I ended up reconnecting that spring and rekindled our romance. He proposed to me in November, and we were married on July 17th the following year. All of this is important because it was Brian who encouraged me to pursue my goal of going back to school and pursuing a nursing degree. I decided to come back to ICC because I love the small class sizes and the way the instructors are so invested in our energy, so invest their energy and their time into the student success. I had also heard so many good things about ICC's nursing program, and ICC has by far the most affordable program in the area. I started my prerequisites last fall, and having previously completed my associate's degree, I only needed a few more classes, so I applied to the nursing program. I only had 2 classes this past spring, and as I waited anxiously for news about nursing school, the semester had just barely started. My world was violently shaken on Valentine's Day this year. We had celebrated over the weekend prior, since Brian works 3rd shift at Caterpillar, and Valentine's Day was a Tuesday. When I got home from school that day, he was asleep, but later he got up to get ready for work. I was doing homework, and he was checking emails in the back room when I heard a crash. I called out for him, and he didn't answer. I ran to the back room to find him in the middle of a seizure on the floor. Having had no history of seizures, and me not having taken any nursing classes yet, I had no idea what to do. I panicked and called 911. After a whirlwind that night in the ER, he was admitted to the hospital. A CT showed a mass on his right frontal lobe. Further testing revealed a tumor, and 2 days later, he was having brain surgery. My worst fears were confirmed a week later when we found out that the tumor was a grade 3 oligoastrocytoma, and this is a very rare and aggressive brain cancer. I was so overwhelmed by this news that I thought about dropping out of my classes. I went in and spoke with my instructors, and they were all so completely accommodating to me. In particular, my biology teacher, Mike Oliver, and my lab teacher as well. They were a constant source of encouragement for me. He gave me several options as to how I could successfully finish out the semester, even offering me the opportunity to drop now but pick up in his summer session and start right where I left off. After a lot of contemplation and prayer, Brian and I decided that I should try to stick it out. A month after Brian's surgery, I got my acceptance letter into the nursing program. I was so excited and even more motivated then to finish my spring semester. But Brian was off work, and I was only working a few hours a week. The nagging thoughts about how I would pay for school started to plague me at night. I wasn't eligible for financial aid since I already had my associate's degree, and our medical bills were eating up our savings pretty quickly. And then in April, Brian had another seizure, which put him off of work even longer, and things were really starting to look grim, but we were determined to make it work. Then one day, I got a letter in the mail from the ICC Educational Foundation. I was the recipient of the Mr. and Mrs. R.N.E. Gilmore Scholarship. I had all but forgotten that I'd even filled out the application and everything that was going on. As I read the letter to Brian, my eyes filled with tears, much as they do tonight, at this bright and frank answer to my prayers. You see, this is a very generous scholarship, and it covers all of my tuition and most of my books for this whole year. Already formulating my thank you letter in my mind, and simultaneously offering a quick prayer of gratitude, I made the decision that I would make nursing school count. I want to do well, to honor my scholarship donors, make my family proud, and ultimately make a difference serving others in my career as a nurse. I am so thankful for the stress and challenge of nursing school so far this semester, because it's a stress that I can actually control. Immersing myself in my studies has given me a welcome distraction to my nearly constant worry about my sweet Brian. I even decided to join student nurses of ICC, and a few weeks ago I was elected vice president. I'm thriving in school. I have A's on my first 2 nursing exams, and it's because of the constant support and encouragement from my loving husband and family, and our faith, which is firmly rooted in the gospel of Jesus Christ. I can certainly say I've experienced the widest range of emotions in the past 8 months. Fear, uncertainty, sadness, despair, but ultimately hope. Hope that these trials will lead to personal growth and strengthen my marriage. Hope that our perspective now as a patient and a caregiver will only increase the compassion that I feel already for people having a similar experience that will be under my care someday. This hope stems naturally from our faith and the sure knowledge that we are not forgotten, but are indeed being looked after by a kind and gracious Heavenly Father. I'm reminded of a quote by Samuel Smiles. Hope is like the sun, which as we journey towards it, casts the shadow of our burden behind us. That kind of hope is fostered by the kindness of others. For me in particular, the kindness of my benefactors, Mr. and Mrs. Gilmore, and the kindness of the rest of the scholarship donors here tonight. It is people like you who make the world go round. I'm so overwhelmed with gratitude for this gift, and I intend to use it as a way of pressing forward in a sincere hope that not only will we be able to endure these trials, but that we'll be able to endure them well. Thank you.